Thank you for tuning in to episode 255 of This Week in Real Estate, the T-Wire podcast broadcast live Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. Lawsuit spread. Is housing dead? In this episode, it was brought to you by listeners and viewers who are just like you. Thank you guys for tuning in. I don't have any way for you to give me any money yet, unless you have my Cash App or Venmo and you just want to send me some. So instead of worrying about giving me money, what I really want you to do is to just share the show. Send it to a real estate professional, somebody that's in the real estate industry or real estate business that you think might benefit from having one place to go where they hear all the real estate news, the stuff that's most meaningful to them. That's what we're going to dive into today. We are broadcasting the show live, so if you're joining us on YouTube, you can actually comment, and we can display that comment, and we can talk about you, or we can just talk about your comment. There's Julie Moon. She said we didn't start the fire. Matt LaMarche keeps getting beat by Olivier. He's here too. He said Matt's slacking off. And he said some of us are still busy working, unlike Canada, which is practically shut down. So thank you guys for joining. The comments should be pretty hot today. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. If you're on Clubhouse, you can join us there too. Raise your hand, come on up on the stage, and you can add your voice to the podcast. The entire reason why we do this show is so that you can have one place to go to get succinct professional analysis of everything that's happening in the real estate industry, the most important stuff in the real estate market. And so without further ado, we're just going to dive in. We really do have a lot to cover today, and I'm excited about it. For those of you who were waiting with bated breath, the 3 or 4 of you out there that were super excited for the behind the scenes look that we released last week, you may have noticed if you had your notifications turned on that as soon as it went out there was no sound. I spent like an hour and 20 minutes creating that episode, and for whatever reason, the sound is not working. So I'm going to have to redo it. And I'm kind of bummed about it because I created a really good thumbnail for that one. But some of those topics that we were going to cover last week, through just showing you how we find the articles and showing you where I get the information, some of those items that we were going to cover. So we're going to be throwing those most important things into this episode, which means we have a full docket. Now, luckily, usually on a Thanksgiving holiday, there's just not much real estate news. I would have to say that this last week was different. There was quite a bit of news. If you were paying attention, then you saw a lot of the stuff come out. So let's get right into it. The first one I want to cover is an article from Broke Agent Media. Nosalek Plaintiffs cite ambush video in opposition to the summary judgment. So the National Association of Realtors moved to a summary judgment in this case. And then the plaintiff said, no. Look at this ambush video. And this was the one from, I think his name's Alan Dalton. It was shown in the Stitzer Burnett trial. It was called the notorious ambush video. The reason why it's called the ambush video is because they were not supposed to show it in trial. It was not something that was given to the defense in advance for discovery, and it was not a piece of evidence that should have been submitted, and yet they showed it. And in the Alan Dalton video, basically out of context from a Tom Ferry episode, he tells this terrible story using F-bombs and everything else of this agent trying to protect her commission. And in the end of it, he says basically, agents that are what's the word I'm looking for? Really get after it is not the word I'm looking for, but some agents are going to be dogged and determined to protect their commission. Those are the ones that are going to make it in the industry. That's basically what he's saying. And he's using this story of this agent kind of being crass with their client. Well, that is what the plaintiffs in the Nosalek case are citing for an opposition to the summary judgment that the National Association of Realtors went for. And so that was a bad move. Just got video. Oh, you just got video. Weird. So on YouTube, it's just now putting the video out. That's strange. I don't know what's happening. Hopefully it's all good now. Are you delayed, Julie, or is it live still? That's a good question. Clubhouse, you can hear me, right? Yeah, Clubhouse. What's up, Jack? Jack Atteridge in the house. Oh, yeah, she said it was delayed. Now it's not delayed. Missed the beginning. All right, we'll have to download it for the, we have to download and re-upload or something like that. Hopefully we can fix it. All right, so anyway, this Nosalek case, the They're citing this video that was shown during the Sitzer-Burnett trial of Alan Dalton saying these crass things about another agent who protected their commission. The direct quote was, "There's no bleeping way I'm going to cut my bleeping commission. What do you think? I'm a bleeping hooker standing outside Lincoln Tunnel at 3:00 in the morning. If you think I'm going to cut my bleeping commission, you could take this home and shove it up your bleeping, and I know that it will fit right." That was the quote used out of context. The context was he was telling the story of this lady that was trying to protect herself, and she had this client coming after her pretty hard, and so she just basically stood up to her client. That was the purpose of the story. I don't really think it would have been a good thing for him to share on the Tom Ferry show, but hey, he did. So Catchmark played the video as evidence without presenting it during the discovery period, which that caused a lot of hubbub and is one of the reasons why NAR is going for the mistrial, or not mistrial, appeal. This would actually, in my opinion, the fact that the Nosalek plaintiffs are using this would go to prove that this video played out of context in front of a jury should be, should appeal the decision, basically, because they weren't supposed to play it. They played it anyway. And it's so significant that another court case is citing it as a reason not to get a summary judgment. So in a way, the fact that Nosalek, the fact that, why is it doing an automatic thumb up? I don't want it to do that. I didn't know it does the same thing that Zoom does. It does reactions. So I can like thumb up. You'll see that on my screen. I didn't know it did that. Huh. Anyway, the fact, sorry, it's distracted. ADD, squirrel. The fact that they are using this or citing this, I would say the attorney should definitely show that, it's so significant. They're citing it as a reason to not to rush to the summary judgment, means that it was significant enough to potentially cause a good reason for appeal if it wasn't presented properly and in context, and if the defense didn't know it was coming. So nice thumb. So you can't see the thumb. That's funny. For the audio listeners,
hey,
if you hold up your thumb on StreamYard, I knew it did this on Zoom, but if you hold it up on StreamYard, it has like a little bubble out by my mouth and shows the thumb, and then it freezes my video just like it does on Zoom. Weird.
I'm seeing it on YouTube as well. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't know that happened. Anyway, sorry, someone was Olivier. Were you going to say something?
No, I was going to chime in.
Mike.
Ricky Carruth announced on his podcast that he's going to have an interview with Catchmark coming up soon.
I heard about that. That's going to be an interesting one to watch, especially since Catchmark backed out of the Inman thing. We were going to talk about the Inman thing, and now we're not going to talk about it because it's a big non-story now. Basically, Inman said, hey, we're going to have Catchmark up on stage. And then everybody was like, oh, this is terrible. Why is Inman doing this? Inman said, hey, we're journalists, and we are going to use this as basically a way to ask him the tough questions on stage in front of everyone. Here are some of the questions I would ask. And one of them was like, hey, I understand tobacco companies and pharmaceuticals, but your local realtor, why are you coming from them? Catchmark didn't like the questions, backed out of the interview, and it looks like he's going to go on an interview with Ricky Carruth. So I wonder if Ricky's going to ask him the same type of questions.
In Ricky's podcast on Black Friday, he addresses the whole Inman thing, and his opinion was that what was put out there by Inman wasn't completely accurate. So who knows?
Interesting. Yeah.
Ray.
Yeah, go ahead. What's up, Rebecca?
Ray, are you friends with Summer Adkins out of Texas?
Yeah.
She's a oil attorney. She commented on his Instagram reel about that and advised him highly not to take that interview because she felt like as a lawyer, he was going to trap him into some questions and maybe to prove his case even more. So I was interested to hear her take on that coming from the law JD perspective.
That is interesting. He would have to go into it as an interviewer. In other words, when Catchmark asks him a question, he can't answer it. But if it's a debate, that's dangerous territory, I think, because then Catchmark could just use some of what Ricky said in his next case. But if it's an interview, I think that's fine. I think realtors can also get in trouble acting as journalists. I'm saying this as someone that is right now podcasting and news podcast, but journalists can or realtors can sometimes get in trouble acting as a journalist when they're really just covering the news. And there have been several cases where there's a report that comes up that we want to cover and talk about honestly as a situation that is happening. And you'll hear me put all kinds of disclaimers around that, like allegedly, and I know I don't believe this, but this is what this story says. That kind of stuff you have to be really careful with. And if Ricky's not careful with it, he could get into some hot water, especially going up against an attorney who's basically trained in nonstop debate. So would it be good TV? Yeah. Would I watch? Yeah. Is it dangerous? Yeah. So I agree with her. Jack,
has anybody been following Anthony Lamacchia? He's crushed it in real estate. He's done a lot with Inman, and he was actually going to take the stage after Catchmark. And when he backed out, Catchmark called him, and I guess they had an interesting conversation. But he's been providing commentary and opinion, really standing up for the industry. And I read another article about the fact that our industry really isn't standing up and making an argument. They're more so just saying, no, this isn't right. But Anthony's been doing a great job. I invited him on here, but sort of did it last minute. So guessing he's busy.
Yeah, that'd be fun to get him too. That I agree with you. The industry is not standing up for itself. In part, the NAR, National Association of Realtors, is not doing a tremendous amount for us right now. I know they're trying, but it looks like they're losing law cases. Hopefully they win the others. There was a lawsuit filed in Texas. There's just recently one. Let me go to this story. It's a little bit out of order, but hang on just a second. I'll get there. There was a lawsuit filed in Georgia. So Georgia home sellers take on the National Association of Realtors. Oops, I got the wrong thing showing. Sorry. It's been a week, so I'm a little out of practice on the clicking. All right, here it is. So Georgia home sellers take on the National Association of Realtors, real estate companies, and the latest commissions lawsuit. This one comes a week after the one that was filed in Texas that we talked about. Broke Agent Media has this one. It says a commission lawsuit emerged last week with new class action antitrust filed by home sellers in Georgia. The latest complaint, known as the Phillips suit, targets several local and national real estate companies along with the National Association of Realtors. Similar to Sitzer Burnett, another copycat lawsuit, the plaintiff alleged that a conspiracy within the real estate industry to inflate commissions, and the complaint states, quote, this case involves a national conspiracy between National Association of Realtors, NAR, and residential real estate brokerages orchestrated to increase broker compensation at the expense of home sellers, including Georgia home sellers. The plaintiffs in this action by requiring home sellers to shoulder both commissions of their listing agents and the commission of the buyer agent when properties are listed on the ubiquitous multiple listing service. The plaintiffs are Janet Phillips, Joseph Hunt. There's one LLC, Parkwood Living LLC. And the plaintiff, the Phillips lawsuit defendants are National Association of Realtors, Home Services, Sotheby's, Keller Williams, Remax, Compass, Anywhere, Engel & Volkers, Christie's International, Home Smart, Ansley, Sold Source, Higher Tech, Hamilton, Dorsey, Alston, Beckham and Company, Atlanta Fine Homes, Home Service Properties, and Harry Norman Realtors. That's a lot of defendants in that one. So that was just filed November 22nd. So that just happened last week. Or I guess was it last week? Yeah. There's another update on the Sitzer Burnett trial that I also wanted to cover. It's basically that Anywhere and Remax, you remember they tried to settle before they went to court on all that. And it looks like the judges granted preliminary approval of the franchisor's multi-million-dollar settlements in Sitzer, Burnett, Morrill, and Nosalek. As the Antitrust Commission lawsuits continue, Franchising giant Anywhere and Remax both revealed Monday that their settlements in the cases were taken and have taken an important step to becoming final. In dual announcements, both companies revealed that their proposed settlement has received preliminary court approval, and the court approval triggers a, quote, notice period to potential class members. So that's where they're at, and that it looks like that they are going to be approved. Now they look like geniuses. At the time, I think even I was like, well, come on, like, don't just turn tail and run. But maybe they turned tail and run when they saw the attorneys that NAR had, or the case that the defense was trying to present. Maybe they're like, let's take the easy way out on this one. We're pleased with the court's decision to grant preliminary approval, said Remax Nick Bailey, friend of the show, by the way. He's been on our show. This development signifies progress on ongoing efforts and commitment to a resolution. So yeah, now they look like smart ones in this whole deal. I wonder when it was. That would be an interesting. I wonder if their attorneys were like, don't do this because you're going to be lumped in with this group. And we've talked to these attorneys and we would suggest that you take the deal and just end it. Okay. So there's a lot of lawsuits that are happening in our industry. Actually, the thumbnail came for that. What's up, Malcolm Lawson? He's here today. The infamous YouTuber Malcolm Lawson is watching on Facebook. Just okay. So the thumbnail today, I want to show you guys this because it comes directly from the whole lawsuit is spreading around the world thing. And so for those of you that are listening on audio, it's basically like a kind of a darkened picture of the world with a highlighted America. And America is outlined in like this orange color with all the states outlined in kind of an orangey yellow color. And it looks like the spread of a pandy, which we don't say the full word live on the show because sometimes, you can get tamped down. I would just say it because it's been a while, but now there's something new that's cropped up. So I don't want to say it again. So anyway, it looks like there's something spreading around the country. And so the thought was, well, it seems like everywhere you turn, there's another state, another city with some kind of lawsuit happening. And I found one place that you guys could go to get all those details. So Broke Agent Media has a lawsuit tracking dedicated portion of their website. It's kind of sad that they have to have this, to be honest, but it is, as someone that's in the industry and you want to know what's going on, it's a good place to go. So if you go to the Broke Agent Media website right now, and I'll put this in the description too, but if you just go to the website, you will see on the side, let me see this lawsuit watch right here. So you click this lawsuit watch and it'll take you here and you see all of the lawsuits that are currently happening. It's got a table of contents at the top. And here's just a list. Sitzer, Burnett, Morrill, Gibson, Batten 1, Batten 2, March, Burton, Nosalek, DOJ versus NAR, Texas Commission lawsuit, Dietz versus Rocket Mortgage, and Phillips. That's so many court cases that the attorneys for NAR have to battle. To think that we gave those attorneys, what was it, $7 million, and we gave the marketing company $50 million. That's kind of interesting. Marketing consultants. Anyway, each one of these, it kind of breaks down the status. So final judgment says was spring 2024. That's the Sitzer Burnett. We know it's going to appeal, so they'll continue to update it. And then they have articles about it that they've linked to. So I found this super helpful. Morrill class action suit trial to begin 2024. Gibson has been filed. Motions to dismiss are pending on Batten 1. Batten 2 has been filed. March has been filed. Burton has been filed. Nosalek Plaintiffs oppose a motion for summary judgment. And that's the article that we just covered. DOJ versus NAR is ongoing. Ongoing with Catchmark's help. And then the Texas Commission lawsuit's been filed. Dietz versus Rocket Mortgage has been filed. I didn't know about this when I was looking at this. I guess I missed it. But Arizona residents Kelly Dietz filed a suit against Rocket Mortgage for unsolicited telemarketing calls. We're just throwing that one in there too. Phillips status has been filed. And then that's it for now. The Phillips one is the Georgia home sellers. So there's one place to go. It's really helpful if you just want to kind of stay on the up and up, what's happening. The only the only reason it matters to be knowledgeable about those lawsuits, even if it's not your state, is so that you can answer the questions that your clients may ask you. And so your clients may say, hey, I heard in Georgia this is happening. And if you didn't know about it and your client knows about it, you just look dumb. You look like you're an agent that's not plugged into what's happening nationally. And you can't really ignore what's happening nationally and say, well, it doesn't apply here because it's happening nationally. Well, okay. But when it does apply to where you are, you need to know the history. You need to know where stuff comes from. You need to know when someone is saying like, yes, this ambush video in this other lawsuit, that's why we're trying to fight against the summary judgment in this one. What ambush video? Do you know about it? Because your clients are going to start hearing more and more about this as the local news organization, as newspapers start writing about it. And if you don't know, you're just going to look dumb. So don't look dumb. Oh, Malcolm says, I do have you on YouTube on my TV and Facebook on my laptop to comment. You've been my main source of info on these lawsuits. Thanks, Malcolm. I appreciate that. And thanks for the 2 views. I appreciate if all of you viewing would view in 2 or 3 ways, it would really help the show increase the view count. That's funny. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to cover on the industry T section. Actually, there's 2 things. So we saw a news article last week about Mark Willis reclaiming the CEO chair at Keller Williams, and this was produced by Inman. I thought it was an interesting article. I like Mark. I've talked to him actually on Clubhouse before. He had some Clubhouse rooms. He seems like a really nice guy, good guy. He said Keller Williams has been the best success model for agents and brokerages to thrive no matter the economic industry and business challenges ahead. We face headwinds of change, nothing new. As an innovative force since 1983, remain optimistic, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So they released the corporate talking points about why he's there. He said, what was the reason that Gary Keller said he's not going to do it? I can't find that section, but I was kind of interested, like maybe Gary is tied up with some of these lawsuits as they kind of continue to spread around the country and is saying, hey, we need somebody else to run the show because I've got to work on a defense because the first one didn't work. So who knows? Well, then this next week, we get another article that says Keller Williams and Gary Keller face new allegations in a lawsuit. So there's been this like thorn in the side of Keller Williams since the former CEO, John Davis, left. I think I'm going to try to get it right. So allegedly, I'll just put allegedly in front of everything that's coming next. But if I remember right, he left. He didn't like how some stuff was handled. He was then accused of sexual harassment. That was dropped. He said, this is not real. Keller said, okay, let's try to settle. Then he said recently, November 20th, he made new accusations and amended a complaint filed 3 months after Davis initiated a lawsuit. Like the original complaint, the newly filed documents accuse Keller Williams of engaging in fraudulent illegal business scheme, which is what we covered back in when it was originally filed 3 months ago. The amended complaint also reiterates the original allegation that Keller Williams inflated the profitability metrics, such as company sales profits, to convince individuals to purchase Keller Williams regions and market centers. However, the new complaint adds to the original filing, accusing Gary Keller of collecting fees from company franchisees and using those fees for himself, his son, John Keller, and to create Keller Williams businesses, among other things. Quote, Gary Keller has misappropriated, diverted, and embezzled the millions of dollars in fees collected from franchisees for purposes outside of the scope of franchise agreements and to fund his own personal ventures through his new holding company, KW little x. There's a K, big W, little x. Responding to the amended complaint, Keller Williams spokesperson Daryl Frost told Inman in the email that, quote, once again, John Davis has filed baseless allegations against new parties to get more press coverage. Keller Williams has previously said that it's an attempt by John Davis to smear the Keller Williams in the press under the guise of a lawsuit. He said, we will continue to follow the law and aggressively defend against his baseless claims, Frost added. So, among other things, the amended complaint singles out 72 sold, which Dusty, I know, has some opinions about. Dusty, who's in Arizona. So it singles out 72 sold, which touts itself as a way for homeowners to sell their homes quickly for high prices. The amended complaint states that 72 sold characterized itself as leads and marketing platform, but actually conducts, quote, misleading national advertising. The complaint also states that Gary Keller owns 49% of the company and that he has pushed Keller Williams businesses to use 72 sold. I didn't know that. Huh. Gary Keller, the complaint alleges, owns 49% of 72 sold, and Keller Williams has urged people to use 72 sold. I didn't know that he owned 49% of it. The complaint argues, in fact, that Gary Keller purchased the team via KWX and that he has, quote, improperly allocated funds collected from franchisees to purchase and fund Livian, 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 which operates in competition to KWRI market centers. It's getting dicey. What's up, Matt LaMarche? How are you doing, man? See you jumping in Clubhouse.
Hey, good afternoon. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. Happy lawsuit to you. I know you don't speak for England Volkers, but you are there now. So,
what? Happy what?
The Georgia lawsuit. You're mentioned, not you directly, but England Volkers.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel really bad for the people in Kansas. Kansas City. Where is that one? Where did they win?
Well, Missouri. Yeah, close. Yeah.
Missouri. Right. Yeah. Kansas City, Missouri, which is strange to me. How Kansas City isn't in Kansas? Anyway, that's
I think it's in both, isn't it?
But,
in Kansas City and Kansas it's like on the border. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm terrible with geometry. So, I just saw this break a couple of days ago here in Georgia, and I think, and I don't know if a lot of people knew this because I had a coffee with an agent yesterday that we were talking about this. It's a Georgia law to not have a buyer's brokerage agreement in place. Like, you can't represent a buyer in Georgia without having a written agreement together. So, and I don't think that's the case in other places. It sounds like.
Huh.
So, I don't know. I'm not as worried about Georgia here with some of these things, the way that it's gone for some of the other states. But also, I don't think our MLS is attached to those contracts either. But that's just another thing. So, anyway, but yeah, happy Wednesday, happy Hanukkah, happy Thanksgiving, happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, all the things.
Happy Christmas. I hope your holiday was a success. There was a guy in college, Ryan Russ, which is funny now because our daughters are friends. And that's a whole another bag of worms. But there was a guy in college that every college break, he would tell people like, hey, I hope your Christmas is a success, just to watch people's faces and throw them off. Because people would be like, hey, Merry Christmas. And he'd be like, yes, I hope your Christmas is a success. And they'll be like, what? So I hope your holidays are massively successful. And yes, Kansas City.
I'm feeling that.
Kansas City is on the border of Missouri and Kansas, just so you know.
There you go.
I'm displaying the map on live. And there's a net. That's terrible. Okay. So that's all I got for Industry Tea. Dusty, are you here? Let's see if Dusty wants to comment on the Keller Williams owning 49% of 72 sold. That's real interesting. I will say I got a call from the old 72 sold as they wanted to open here. And they told me, they said, we're already talking with several people at another brokerage. I was like, oh, okay. What brokerage? And like Keller Williams. And now that kind of makes sense. I'm wondering if it was pushed in our local Keller Williams. That's really, really interesting. Allegedly. It's allegedly very interesting. Okay, so let's go down to see what's happening in the market. First, home sales slip. So some of this is from last week. I'm kind of going a little bit in order here. But some of this is from last week. Let's talk about home sales slipping. Numbers came out from the existing home sales that fell 4% last month, but the market isn't slowing for buyers who are seeing plenty of competition. Home sales may have fallen last month, but home sellers still appear to hold the upper hand. Existing home sales for single family homes, townhomes, and condos and co-ops dropped 4.1% in October and were nearly 15% lower compared to 1 year ago. National Association of Realtors reported last Tuesday. Despite the slowing sales, buyers face a few key issues: steep competition against other buyers and a limited number of homes on the market, rising home prices, and the highest mortgage rates in 20 years. So Lawrence Yun, National Association of Realtors chief economist, said that prospective home buyers experienced another difficult month due to the persistent lack of housing inventory and the highest mortgage rates in a generation. Multiple offers are still occurring, especially on starter and mid-priced homes, even as price concessions are happening in the upper end of the market. So that price concession happening in the upper end of the market, we've talked about before on the show. We talked about how it was almost like a rich session where it seemed like the luxury market was going down at a faster pace than other price points, where you see the aspirational sales prices and then it starts to drop and starts to go down a little bit. Those aspirational sales prices in my area in Arkansas, they're not getting any traction at all. No matter if they're in the bottom 1/3 or if they're in the top 1/3, it doesn't matter. If it's not priced well for its condition and placed well in the market, it is not going to sell well here. And we just keep seeing that over and over. Now, great homes priced right are selling like hotcakes. It's selling fast. So that tells me that buyers are just waiting and they're waiting. And when they see one that looks like a good deal or looks like it's priced right, they're jumping on that. There's more on that article. You can go to the nar.realtor to find these articles in the real estate news section. I'm proud to say this is the second week in a row where they have put news in the Realtor news section after a long hiatus. We didn't have any news for a while in the Realtor news section. What's up, ADU? Pending home sales rise to highest level in a year. This report comes to us from Redfin. I want to share this so you guys who are watching can see the chart. I always love the charts. New listings were near 6-month high in October, helping to drive an increase in pending sales, though buyers backed out of deals at the highest rate on record. The recent drop in mortgage rates could give sales another boost in November. So pending home sales are up. There's the chart. And you could see how they started to go down. Well, they went up. We know that they went up during the pandemic. There was this low period in April. So you could see that the news of the spread of the virus came out in March. And then you see what happened in March and April. And this is the time period where we were telling our clients, keep your home on the market. There's everyone pulling their home off the market. There's still buyers that have to move. And then I think everyone else got wise. And in May, that started to go up in May of 2020. It stayed high. And we're just looking at pending home sales. We're not looking at home prices, but the home prices are continuing to go up. So it stayed high until January of 2022. And then it started to kind of moderate down every single month until March of 2023. That was the most recent low. Then it has started to go up, not at as high, not as fast as the pace as it went down, but it has started to go up since then and is now at a recent high in October. So a lot of this is from, well, right here are the reasons. Pending home sales have been ticking up for several reasons. Supply chain crunch has eased slightly. Sellers are cutting prices and offering concessions, specifically new construction markets. We're seeing that happen a lot where builders are offering more concessions than they have in the recent history. People have to move. There are still people that are moving all around the country. So those folks that have to move, they have to find somewhere to buy. And mortgage rates did fall slightly, encouraging those that may have been on the fence that were just wanting to save a little bit of money or try to maybe pull out a slightly higher price point, but they couldn't because of the where the rate was that day. It eased up a little bit, and the fall in rates, it does encourage some people to go ahead and apply. Matt Lamars said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. And you guys who are watching live, drop in the comments where you're watching from too, because we do have, just got a call last week from someone saying, does anyone watch your show who is in this city? And so I was able to give a referral. That's kind of cool. Oh, and Matt, great tip. Matt also says, and leave a review. Thanks, Matt. Champion of the show. Okay, so home prices kept rising even though interest rates surged. So this article is from CNBC. Home prices kept rising even as mortgage rates surged, according to the S&P Case-Shiller index. Nationally, prices were 3.9% higher in September compared with the last month, same month a year earlier, and 2.5% annual gain in August. This occurred as the average rate hit 8%. Dun, dun, dun. Craig Lazar, managing director of the S&P DJI, said in a release, we've commented before that the breadth of the housing market strength, which continued to be impressive, although this year's increase in mortgage rates have surely suppressed the quantity of homes sold, the relative shortage of inventory has been solid force to support prices. Unless higher rates or other events lead to a general weakness, the breadth and strength of this month's report are consistent with the optimistic view of future results. Julie Moon, she never misses an opportunity. Athens, Georgia, home of the two-time national champion Georgia Bulldogs. You going to make it 3? Can they pull it out? Let's see. Jack Atteridge, he's watching from north of Boston. 5 stars for T-Wire. Woohoo. Matt Thomas, he's on the LinkedIn. What's up, man? He's watching from the Denver, Colorado. And Malcolm Lawson, Annapolis, Maryland. Where do I leave a review? That's a great question. Probably the best place is iTunes because we have the most listeners through iTunes. We're getting the most traction there. So if you went to iTunes and searched This Week in Real Estate, you'll see us. I think you actually see us twice. We have no idea why. I've contacted support and they're like, I don't know. But there's one with like 10 reviews. Review on that one. There's one with like 1 review. Don't review that one. Calling it a dynasty. The Georgia Bulldog thing or the show? I think probably the show. Matt Lamarche probably means the show, calling this show a dynasty. And Olivier, he's watching from his igloo up in Canada. He said it, not me. Okay, Cyber Monday offers extended. I'm getting lots of ads right now on these articles that I'm trying to pull up for you guys. Oh, speaking of Cyber Monday, I'll put it again on my Instagram. But if you follow me at Razorback, RAYZORBACK on Instagram, you could just DM me the word gear. Only the word gear, nothing extra, not gear, exclamation, not gear with fire. Just DM me the word gear, and you will see 3 different shopping lists. One is for podcasts like this one. One is for a studio like the one I'm in. And the other one is for video on the go. And you can click there and see the gear I recommend and the gear that I use for all of this stuff. So I'll also put that in the description for the YouTube watchers, the replay crew. Shout out to you guys. I'll also put that in the description for y'all, but check out some of them. There've been some pretty good deals. A couple of items on there have been 50% off this week. And now that Black Friday is over, now that Cyber Monday is over, now it's just classified as holiday deals. And what's funny is some of the holiday deals are the exact same as the Cyber Monday deals. So interesting. Okay. So this report comes to us from Realtor magazine. Another, it's kind of a news. It's a take on the news, I guess you could say. Normally I don't cover takes on the news, but I felt like this was spot on to what a lot of people around the country, what a lot of real estate agents around the country are feeling. The article says, this doesn't feel like a slow market to home buyers. Although home activity has fallen, it's dropped 14.1% compared with the previous year. Buyers face less competition, but they may be surprised to learn that multiple offer situations, in fact, are still common. Here's a quote from Lawrence Yoon. chief economist, National Association of Realtors, said multiple offers are still occurring, especially in starter and mid-priced homes, even as price concessions are happening in the upper end of the market. High prices waived contingencies. So you might remember that. Remember a time where people were throwing offers on the table saying, we're not going to inspect. We'll cover whatever appraisal gap. And here's $100,000 over the purchase price. So to think that we would go from that environment to an environment where sellers are like, here's $20,000 of your closing costs. Please buy my home. I mean, that would be a gigantic swing. I still think we've had a really large swing. If you were in that kind of environment and now you're in an environment where you're still getting multiple offers, but it's not 100K over asking, that's a big swing. So you're still, in effect, saving some money as the rates ticked up 3% from 5%. And as the rates ticked up again to the 5% number from the 2.5%, 3% number that we'll probably never see again in my lifetime. As rates started to tick up, the number of people willing to go that extra mile to put in those crazy offers continued to go down. However, there are still people that need to buy a home. It's just the number of people that can afford to do those moves are now lower. So it's like you're lowering the affordability as it's coming down. And you do have some builders giving some concessions now. You have some sellers in the upper end of the market giving some concessions. And there was a time, even in the luxury market, where you're getting multiple offers and crazy numbers over. And so that swing has been pretty drastic, but the numbers in luxury are also more drastic. So I think on the lower end is probably where you're seeing the biggest difference in affordability now, because you may have a home buyer that could purchase a home at $150,000 to $250,000, and they can actually go on the market and find a home, and they may be able to purchase it at list price, which a year ago was unheard of, especially in that price range. They may not have to come out of pocket to cover an appraisal gap. They may not have to offer $20,000 more. And so in effect, they're paying less for the home, even though the rate is higher. It kind of all evens out. So this article from Realtor magazine states more concessions coming, ? Recent reports suggest that some markets may be seeing more seller concessions, particularly in the higher mortgage rates and higher home prices push buyers out of the market. So I think what's going to happen, you're going to see some people will list their home. They're not getting what they want. They tell their agent, offer to pay closing costs. They offer to pay closing costs, and maybe they get a bite. Maybe that's when they sell the home. The other thing that could happen is that they put their offer out there at this aspirational sales price. When they do, it doesn't sell. They say, okay, offer some closing cost. It doesn't sell. They take away the closing cost and drop the price. Then if it doesn't sell there, they offer the closing cost again, or they offer the concession, or they offer the flooring. It is a tougher time to sell a property that is unique. That's the realtor word for weird. If you have a property that was weird, these last 2 years, you could sell it, man. And you could sell it for market value plus, and it was great. Now, if you have a weird property, it's going to be much, much more difficult to offload the weird property without being extremely competitive on the price. Slanted driveways in some areas where every home is flat, slanted driveways take a big hit. So if you have a home with a slanted driveway a year or two ago, yeah, you could have probably sold that at what everything else was selling or more. And now it's just not going to happen. It's going to sell for less. People are going to be more and more picky the more money they have to come out of pocket with as far as like the rates go. Okay. Let's move on to FHFA. They announced higher conforming loan limits. And this is also interesting. I know I think they went up last year too, if I'm not mistaken. But I know they go up and down kind of according to what the market is doing, which is good. But if you're also making it more affordable for more people to purchase, it's not exactly going to help home prices. Basically, you're going to keep home prices inflated the more support you give to buyers to purchase a home at a higher price. So the new conforming loan limit is set by FHFA for 2024 is $766,550. That's $40,350 above 2023. That's quite the jump. Conforming loan limits set by FHA and FHFA represent the baseline values that will be guaranteed by the federal government. However, more expensive areas can have higher limits. What's up, Christina? Christina Smallhorn's here. Speaking of affordability, there's Christina Smallhorn, a master of affordability on the YouTubes. Matt says, did somebody mention tiny homes? We didn't mention tiny homes yet, but I do have a story about a 3D home being demolished, an affordable 3D home being completely destroyed because of its structural integrity. We'll get into it in a second. Okay, home builder sentiment. It's not great. Home builder sentiment is it drops to its lowest point in a year. But falling rates spur some optimism. High mortgage rates continue to weigh on the nation's home builders, leading to an increase in price cuts to lure buyers. But builders are cautiously optimistic about the recent signs that interest rates may go lower soon. Here's a quote from NAHB Chair Alicia Hui. They said the rise in interest rates since the end of August has dampened the builder view of the market conditions, as a large number of prospective buyers were priced out of the market. Moreover, higher short-term interest rates have increased the cost of financing for home builders and land developers, adding another headwind for housing supply and market low on resale inventory. It's the fourth straight month of declines. Sentiment is down 22 points since July. It's now at its lowest level since the end of the year. Builders did note that nearly all of the monthly data for November was collected before the Consumer Price Index release earlier that week, showing inflation moderating. So it could be a little bit higher, but it's probably still negative. The sentiment number is 34. Any number below 50 is negative. A number above 50 is positive. 34 is pretty low. For context, before COVID, before the pandy, it was like in the 70s. I can't remember if we got to the 80s or not, but it was in the 70s, and now it is 34. It's the opposite end of the spectrum, completely opposite end. Matt said, wait, did somebody say ADU? There's another article about ADU that we just are not going to have time to get to. Basically, California is offering like $350,000, or New York is offering something like $350,000 to people that'll build a dwelling on their property. It's wild. We'll get to it. Declines for custom home building. I thought this was an interesting article from NAHB. There are 50,000 total custom home starts during the third quarter of the year. It marks an almost 17% decline compared with the third quarter of 2022, consistent with the weakness experienced throughout the home building sector. That's probably a direct correlation to the rates. I guess a lot of custom home builders may be operating on cash too. Maybe I'm short-sighted, limited belief there, maybe. After a share of declines due to the spec building in the wake of the pandy, the market share of custom homes increased until recently. As measured 1 year moving average, the market share of custom home building in terms of total single-family starts has fallen 20%, down from a prior peak of 31.5% during the second quarter of 2009. And then lastly, for home builders, for a home builder topic, home size trending lower. An expected impact of the crisis, the pandy, was the need for more residential space as people use homes for more purposes, including work. Average home size correspondingly increased in 2021 as interest rates reached historic lows. However, as interest rates increased in 2022 and 23, housing affordability worsened and demand for home size trended lower. So that's something that I don't think we've ever talked about on the show before. We've talked about people working from home and needing larger space. We've talked about the move to, finding that fourth bedroom. A lot of people want the fourth bedroom. When you ask them what it's for, that's like an office. Let's go. So you take a 3-bedroom and an office. Yes. So we've talked about the work from home movement and how people need more space, that they're loving their home more, spending more time in their home, and they don't ever want to be caught in that situation again. But one of the things we didn't talk about was that the reverse impact of that. As it becomes more expensive to spread out, as it becomes more expensive to get a larger home, there's going to be a trend that people will start to say, well, maybe I can work from living room. Maybe I don't necessarily need to work from a home office, but as long as I have a great dining table, I will work from there. And I think people start to make concessions on their space. And I'm wondering if this continues, if it trends back down to where it was, which right now it's back down to where it was in 2011-ish, somewhere in that range, 2012-ish. If it continues, if home size continues to go down, then I wonder if that's going to increase the number of people that want to go back to work because they want to have their own space. They want to be in a work environment again that is away from their home space. I just wonder how that's going to affect the commercial market, which is in dire straits right now. A lot of people saying it's a bloodbath. Christina says, low square footage makes the home cheaper and more affordable. Yep. Genius. Like I've made 100 videos on this very thing. Good. Work from the master closet. My brother does that. Yeah, a large closet. That would also be a great work from home space because it mutes the sound as well because you have all the clothes in there. And so you've got really good sound in a closet. Like you could put a microphone in a closet and it's really great sound. There's a little pro tip. If you want to record some audio and you just can't get it right, it sounds too loud, go stand in your closet and record the audio. Matt said, I heard most agents will have to work from their closets next year. I don't know. We'll see if most agents have a closet next year. I think there's going to be a lot of trouble. If I can find, there's two other articles I want to cover real quick, and then I'll let you guys go. Both of these articles came from Mr. Dan Ludwig. He shot them to me. All right, well, I can't find one of them, but here's the one on Muscatine demolishes its first 3D printed home due to a lack of structural integrity. So the plan to build 3D homes, oh man, there's an ad. The plan is to build 10 3D printed homes in the community. It's Muscatine, Iowa, probably Muscatine. Has torn down 3D printed homes it began building this past May, according to the Community Foundation of Greater Muscatine. The concrete formula that met the necessary requirement in lab testing did not meet the same requirement while on site. We needed to meet 5,000 PSI, pounds per square inch in each of these tests. We didn't get to that in most of the tests, to be honest. Housing Initiative Manager Ron Monahan said. Although the first attempt didn't work out, construction has begun on a second 3D printed home built with a different concrete formula. So far, the formula is meeting the 5,000 PSI threshold. So I'm wondering about all these early builds in other states. I assume that they met the requirements, but I just thought that was an interesting story because we covered the build of a lot of the 3D homes. And the other articles, let me see if I can find it real quick because I cannot find the device that this was during the Thanksgiving week that I think Dan sent this to me. I believe it was New York. New York City will pay homeowners up to $395,000 to build an extra ADU. This is on Architects Newspaper. Oh man, they want to give me ads, and they're like, "We're detecting your ad blocker guy. Put us on your safe list. Give us your safe word." Okay, so let me share this. The Architects Newspaper says, under new +1 ADU program, NYC's Department of Housing Preservation and Development will pay you to build an ADU. New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Local Development Commissioner Adolfo Carrion Jr. has announced a new program that encourages New Yorkers to build accessory dwelling units on their properties. The Plus One ADU provides funding to qualified homeowners looking to build backyard cottages, garage studios, attached in-law suites, basement apartments, attic space conversions. And funding totals up to $395,000 from the HPD and $2.6 million in a grant from funding with New York State Homes Community Renewal. The program, according to the press statement, is meant to help working and middle-class families as well as seniors looking to age in place with families and children returning from college, young parents, and homeowners looking for extra source of rental income. Interesting. This is happening in New York City. It says qualified homeowners interested in the Plus One ADU program may earn up to 165% of the area median income for $186,450 for a two-person household. Applicants earning above this number are not eligible. Preference will be given to homeowners at or below 100% AMI or $113,000 for a two-person household. Applicants must be current on any existing mortgages, not have any outstanding arrears. I haven't heard of this before. It says New York isn't the first to address it with Los Angeles in recent legislation, but that was just legislation in Los Angeles that basically allowed it. They're not giving money. But this is the first time that I've seen a municipality give money to encourage people to increase the number of ADUs. Wonder if they could 3D print the ADUs. Christy said, "Oh, I need that article." Are you talking about the 3D printed one? I'll find it for you. Muscatine 3D printed. Here it is. I'll post it for you. And they are giving money one. That was on the architects. I displayed that one. Oh man, they wanted me to disable my ad block too. All right, I dropped it in the comments for you, Christina. Boxable has it down to Xtina. What are you saying? Christina said, "I think 3D printing isn't there yet. I'm not a fan, not yet anyways." I like it in theory. I don't know that I like the looks of the finished product, like the striations on the side of the wall. I'd have to get used to that. Feels real like, feels very different than the local style here, but I don't mind it. I just don't prefer it. Oh, Christina, Xtina. I see what you did. All right. Well, thanks guys for listening. That's all I got for you today. Be sure you do all the YouTubey things, please. Like, subscribe, hit all the buttons, drop in the comments. If you have any news articles too, feel free to shoot them to me. You can find me at Razorback. That's RAYZORBACK. I'd be happy to give you a shout out as we cover it here locally. And also, I'm going to try to redo that recording. So if you want the BTS, let me know. It takes some time to do, but I think I may do it. We have some holiday shows coming up, so I may do it for one of those. As Matt said, everywhere good Razorbacks are sold, for sure. Oh, Christina said, Boxable still has released the homes to the public. People have been waiting for years on the wait list. Trouble in Chinatown. That's a movie. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the conversation. Thanks for Clubhouse for joining in. Check out the podcast. Leave us a review. Do all those things. In the meantime, I'll see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.